Welcome to another exciting episode of DNA Hardwired. Common sense turned upside down. My name is Pop, and with me is my co-host, Jackie. Last week...
Hey everybody, how you guys doing today?
All right. Yeah, last week we were continuing our discussion on parenting. As me and Jackie said, we thought this would be a little easy peasy, little quickie thing. And so now here we are on our fifth episode. I'm pretty sure this will probably be our last episode on parenting. And I must say that after thinking about it and talking about it, we probably should have started off with this particular episode first. But you'll see why once we get into it. But the last episode, last week, we discussed dress, clothing, and technology for our kids. Anything you want to follow up on that, Jackie, with dress, clothing, technology?
Dress. Going back to what I said last week, I think children need to dress like children, not like little adults. That comes from the parents. That doesn't come from peer pressure, social media, society. That comes from the parents. And I think we need to have more conservative, more conservative parents. The way some of these children are dressed. Dressing, it opens up a Pandora's box. Just going to say whether it's right or wrong, it opens up that box. Children are not carrying themselves. Parents are not ensuring that the kids from dressing the parents to what they have access to on social media.
Right. And we as parents, we need to understand how important it is for us to be parents. You know, we need to guide our children. We need to lead our children. We need to teach them the right way to do things, how to be kids, and so on and so on. One other thing we had covered, and I'd had a few conversations on this, and so I want to touch on that. You know, when we were covering the education, Jack, and we were talking about education, we kind of covered, kindergarten through 12th grade. But then I had a conversation. I've had a couple of conversations with folks. And we talked about, the next level, college. And a couple of things I want to touch on with college that we didn't touch on. One of the things is, I think maybe you mentioned this, but I know you did mention this, the fact that college doesn't have to be for everybody. Everybody don't have to go to college. And yeah, you had made that point, and that's a very, very good point. And I had a conversation with someone else recently, and we were discussing that. I mean, and really, when you think about it, the vast majority of professions don't require college. And so we need to, so we need to get out of that mindset of, okay, once my child complete high school, they're automatically going to go to college. Now, if there's a profession that requires a college degree, med school, some of these things, then that's a different story. So once you do find out whether or not your child is looking at pursuing a profession where there is a higher educational requirement, a college degree, then you need to start thinking about that. Now, I had another conversation with someone. We were talking about whether or not a child should go to, a 2-year college first, junior college first, before going to a major college or major university. So we had, we talked about that. And that's something that I see a mistake that a lot of parents make, is they automatically want to put these kids in these 4-year schools. And they end up going into these schools costing a whole lot of money, and they could have gotten some of the basic courses through junior college. And also what happens once they, get into these 4-year schools, they've selected their major and all the rest of that, and they start taking these. And then at some point, these kids, because they're 17, 18, 19 years old, they really, truly, in most cases, don't really know what they want to do. So, there's going to be this occasion where they're going to change their major. And now here they are in college, you've spent this money, and they decide to go, and they want to change directions. So, for you parents, your kids are coming up on, getting ready to maybe possibly go to college. You need to kind of give these things some serious thoughts so that you don't end up wasting money, wasting time. You need to sit down with them also and make sure that they understand what profession they have decided to pursue. It would be a good idea for you to help them research that profession, talk to some people, more than one person that's in that profession, get some feedback from them. So that's one of the things I wanted to just loop around on as far as the educational part of it. Any thoughts, Jackie?
My background was working around each other. Is education. The first 2 years of college is almost no different than high school. The basic, fundamental, general ed classes are basically the same for most degrees. In a sense. So why would you send your child to a 4-year school and pay $800-900 a class, $1,000 a class, $1,200, $1,300 a class? They can go to a junior college and get that same class $200 or $300. You just want to do it and pay the money, fine, go right ahead. Don't see the benefit. That's one thing, and that's where parents need to educate themselves on junior colleges compared to 4-year universities, especially those first 2 years. Just because you don't take your major, you don't start getting to your core curriculum. By that time, a lot of students have changed their major over the course of those first 2 years. But they are cheap. So I can't say that I disagree with sending children to 2-year school. Plus the curriculum is a bit different.
Right. And one of the
not so much the curriculum, but the work.
Another thing that came to my mind too, I've had conversations with parents who their children want to live on campus. Many times they're in the same city. The parents, they live in the same city as where the school is, and these kids want to live on campus. Now, my personal opinion is involved in a lot of this, and my thought is, now, if you got a lot of money, you can afford it, hey, go for it. If you got the money, they want to live on campus and, rest of that, and you can afford it, then go for it. But a lot of these parents I talk to, from what I can see anyway, I ain't in nobody, as my daughter's saying, I ain't in nobody's pocketbook, but from what I can see, that might cause a little strain on their finances. So, you really want to give that some thought. Another thing is sometimes these kids want to go out of, they want to go out of state. They want to, leave the area. They don't want to be, they want to leave home, Again, now we're talking a financial thing again. So parents, I strongly encourage you to give those things some serious thoughts. Allowing them to live on campus when they can be living with you, or allowing them to go out of state for some program that they could be taking right here in state. So those are just some things I think parents don't give enough thought to. They allow the child to make those kind of decisions, and they are still a child. They're not mature enough to be making those decisions. Again, that's where your parenting skills should come into play. You're the parent. You're the one that's got the knowledge. You should have anyway, the knowledge to make these kind of adult decisions, because they're really still adult. They're adult decisions.
Correct.
Okay.
And the other side of that is, if you're paying attention to your child, if your child is ready mentally to be away from you in another state and still and do the right thing because it's the right thing.
Another very good
You as a
point.
parent should know that.
Another good point.
So if I know my child has a propensity to go do the wrong thing, he's not moving across the street, much less out of state.
There you go.
He or she does not have that option.
Right.
And I can give two of them how they feel about it.
Right.
Because it's not about how they feel. It's about what am I doing to put my child in the best position for them to be successful.
Right.
Not me. It's not about me at all.
Right.
But it is about my responsibility.
Right.
To my child. They don't see me protecting them long term.
Right.
And it's not up to them at that point. It's up to me.
Right. 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 And I think that in all of these topics that we've been talking about, I think we as parents lose sight of that. We are the parent. We're the ones that should be making these major decisions that's going to affect our kids possibly for life, and probably will for life. So you're bringing up some really good points, Brother Jackie. Okay. All right. So on this episode, we're going to, like I said, this will probably be our last episode talking about parenting. It's and I know we're still going to miss a lot. But hopefully we will get through a lot of the basics. And like I said, this particular episode is one of the basics that maybe we should have covered first, but hey, we're covering it. And that's going to be on potty training, when to take the bottle away from your child, have them start using the sippy cup. At what age do you stop allowing your child to sleep in bed and in bed with you? And then we're also going to talk about just some effective co-parenting techniques, because a lot of parents today find themselves in that situation where there's a co-parenting situation. Anything you want to add at this point, Jackie?
I think to a degree, your child kind of someone let you know where they are.
Yes.
That will determine which way you handle, which way you go about it. Some children are a little bit more advanced.
Right.
So they want to be on their own. They want to sleep in their own bed. But they want to throw the ball in the trash.
Right. Right.
Others. And that's going a little step further. A lot of times it's the boys that want to stay in the bed and want to be on their bottom a little longer, to be honest with you.
Right. Right.
So, but your child typically will let you know where they are, and then your parenting style and the direction is based off of that. Because what you don't want to do is push them in an area that they're not ready to walk into.
Right. Right.
And may hurt them long term. Then also, the other ones, you don't want to hold them back when they're ready to take off running. But you want to say, hold up, let's walk.
Right.
So
right.
You got to judge. And even though you have 2 children, 3 children, 4 children raised in the same house, you got 4 different personalities, 3 or 4 different personalities.
Yeah.
You got to adjust the way you handle each child based off of that child.
Right.
Not what you think, not trying to paint all the children with the same brush.
Right. Right.
That hurts them.
Right. And we're going to get into a lot of those specifics that you just mentioned as we cover each area. But those are very, very good points. So we'll start with potty training. At what point, do you think at what age that should be done? And you already mentioned some of the things that we need to be aware of. First of all, we need to be flexible for sure. We need to be flexible at every step. And like you said, Jackie, the children are different. Whether you got 2 or 3 kids in the same household, they're different little beings, different personalities. But some of the experts say that you should start potty training between 2 to 3 years. And we got to remember, again, there are some kids that's going to be, you'll be able to do that prior to that, and they'll let you know in different ways. They'll let you know. Some kids, potty train for shorter periods of time. Some kids, they'll enjoy the process of learning, how to potty train, that independence. I think you mentioned that a little bit earlier. Some kids are going to be a little easier to train, so don't get frustrated because maybe your first child was super easy, and then now you got this second or third child, and they seem to be having some issues. Again, some kids are easier to train than others. Don't apply the same rules to each kid. Some kids potty train late. I've heard some people talk about some of these kids still around here, and in diapers at 4 years old, possibly 5. Some that doesn't necessarily indicate a problem. But it wouldn't hurt if a child is 5 years old and still not potty trained. It wouldn't hurt to talk to a professional at that point to see if there's some other issues going on, or sooner possibly. But that doesn't necessarily mean that there's something wrong with the child. Typically, it takes between 18 months and 3 years, with the average being about 2 to 3 years, as we said before, for a child to, become potty trained, fully potty trained. What you want to do too is you want to really focus on physical control and interest rather than a strict age. And most children are successfully, day trained by the age of 4, where they're not, where they're able to be potty trained during the day by age 4. But sometimes night training, it can be a little bit longer. That same child that's potty trained during the day may not be able to make it through the night without wetting on themselves. But some of the signs you want to look for is, when they start staying dry for hours, and again, you don't want to start too late or start too early. Any thoughts so far? Other thoughts on what we've covered so far, Jackie?
I know I have 2 children. I have a son and a daughter, and I have a stepson. So really 3. But then, my boys, I was married to the mother. One of the things I did, and I did it with the haircuts too, is when I went to the bathroom, I took them to the bathroom with me.
Mm-hmm.
So they got a test to see.
Right.
Obviously, clearly, I didn't do that with my daughter.
Right.
Everybody jumping on my case.
Right.
Let's make sure we clear with this.
Don't you be taking your girl in the bathroom with you.
Yeah.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah, it's good. And I mean, in this day and age, brother, we need to clarify. Some folk want to take stuff and run with it. So I'm glad you clarifying.
Yes. I did not take it to the bathroom with me at all. But my sons absolutely took it to the bathroom, because I think the best thing for them to see was that behavior to be, show them the behavior that needs to happen.
Here we go again, leading by example. Go ahead, leading by example, but go ahead.
Correct, leading by example. So with my sons, we really didn't have waiting the bed issue too much. A little bit, kid. Obviously, they're 2 and 3 or 4 years old. Yet something, but nothing that was of any major significance. Even with their haircuts, I used to cut my hair, and they used to see me all the time. So when they was younger, I would just put them on the sink and pretend like I was cutting their hair and getting them used to seeing the clippers around their ears.
Right.
So when they went to the barber shop, they were already used to it. So we didn't have the wetting of the bed issue, and we also didn't have them clowning and screaming when they got to the barber chair. They was already used to it.
Right.
Hearing that noise around their head.
Right.
So I did that with them. My daughter, she was a little bit different. She was a little bit different, if you will. Don't know why, we could never figure it out. But it took her considerably longer to get her fully potty trained.
Well, let me ask you this though. So did the mother take the daughter in the bathroom and do like you did with the son? Maybe that was a difference.
Well, the unfortunate part of my case, those 2 different women.
Okay, I got you.
I don't think she did. No, I take it back. Let me correct that. I'm not special. She did do it somewhat. I'm not sure how often, but she did it sometimes.
Right. Right. And that may have been a difference, maybe. And kids are different. We already said that.
Correct. and that's what I learned. My daughter was extremely different in that department because she finally told me one day, she said, I don't feel when I do the bathroom. She finally told me that. She was young. She said, I don't feel I have to go to the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
So I handled it. I had to handle that a little differently from the standpoint of not making her feel bad for something she said she couldn't even feel.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. And yeah, those are some others, those are some things we need to consider. What is the child telling us? What is the child doing doing? For example, sometimes the child may actually show an interest, if they see a family member going to the bathroom, like in your case with your son, he might show an interest in what's going on there? What are you doing or whatever? Then they may get to the point where they may actually tell you, hey, my diaper is dirty or I need to go to pee. They'll start telling you. So these are things that, that you need to look out for, these signs and these signals that your children may be giving you as far as where they're at on this potty training cycle thing. Sometimes children, they can follow simple instructions and copy your behavior like your son did with you.
If they're telling you, if they're, and my father used to say, they're big enough to go tell you that they need to be clean. They're big enough to go to the bathroom when they realize they need to go.
Right. Right. Okay. And then you'll transition from diapers and then into training pants or underwear. Pampers, I'm not pushing a brand or anything, but things like these pamper easy ups, training pants, things like that there.
Right.
They actually fit like underwear, so that kind of helps your child transition out of diapers. Okay, then. So that's kind of a brief overview of the potty training thing. There are all types of instruction out there on the internet. Again, be careful what sites you go to. I always stress that with folks. Be careful. I would be careful as far as signing up for any classes, or they want you to send them money and all the rest of that stuff. You don't need to be signing up for these type of classes through the internet anyway and sending anybody any money for anything. There's so much free information out there. Hopefully you've got your parents at your disposal. Hopefully you've got other family or friends who've had children and can help you with this. So strongly encourage you to reach out to them, seek their advice, and what makes sense to you, follow it. If there's something that don't make sense, then naturally don't follow it, right? Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. I think we need raising children. I think is equivalent to medicine. It is a practice. It's not a science. Medical is called medical practice, not medical science, even though it's science-based. And my point is, there's no one way. My mother said there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Mm-hmm.
When the dust settles. So I think we should research, educate ourselves, number one. And then, begin to ask people around you that's a little further down the road. Like, where you are, the information you give today may have been totally different than the information that you used when you were 25 and 30.
Right.
So we need to lean into some people that are a little further down the road than us to help make our journey, our walk a little smoother. And so we don't put an undue amount of pressure on our children, but, so it doesn't hurt them long term.
Right. Okay. All right. So let's kind of take a minute to look at when you should remove a bottle and start using something like a sippy cup or something like that there. You know, sometimes you see these children, you know, what we might consider to be old, still 4 or 5 on a bottle, you know, baby bottle. I mean, is that
and they look like they can buy them a drink?
Yeah.
They should have been off the sippy cup.
Yeah. So, and again, these are just some general thoughts, some general guidelines. You know, as far as you know, what action you should take in pretty much what age, and we got to again keep in mind that all the children, they're not the same. But the American Academy of Pediatrics, they recommend that you offer your child a cup when they start eating solid foods, and that's usually around about 6 months or so. That's when you should start. And you can start by using a sippy, or they call them training cups.
Sippy cup, training cup.
Exactly. Yep. Some children may choose to drink from an open cup without a straw, and that's just fine. And that's fine too. Again, kids are different, but the sippy cups, they should be used while they're learning. It's healthiest for kids to drink from an open cup when they're about 2 years of age. And then you want to do this gradually. Again, you want to move away from the bottle gradually. You don't want to, overnight just take the bottle away from them, right? And
you can instead of just taking it away. I say this sometimes. We don't inspire our children to be better,
right?
Or we don't inspire a different behavior. If there's a behavior that we disagree with, we don't take the thought process. I take the position. Let me figure out how to inspire my child to change the behavior. We just want to say, don't do it because I said don't do it.
Right.
And I get that to a degree. Like, go taking a knife and sticking it into an outlet.
Right.
I'm not giving you the option to go put it in there again.
Right.
That's different.
Right.
But when it comes to things of this nature, figure out what sparks their interest. Like they may not be able to drink all the time out of a regular cup.
Right.
But let's say at dinner while we all eat.
Right.
Mom and daddy drinking out of a regular cup. Let's see if you can drink out of a regular cup.
There you go. You go.
And so is he gonna do it the first time? Or is she gonna do it the first time? Absolutely not. No.
Right.
But if you keep pushing it, you'll start to see that they will come around. And I think that has to be the goal. It's like my father used to say, I'm doing this for the long term, not for the short run.
Right.
So.
Okay, good. Yeah. Okay. So, so some of the things you want to, and you've already mentioned some of these things, Jack. You're talking about offering cups, at mealtime and that type of thing. So that's one of the things you might want to do. Also, when we're talking about drinks, right? We want to be careful what types of drinks we provide our children, right? Especially when they're young like that. We see a lot of parents today. It happened in the past too, but they fill those bottles and sippy cups. They fill it up with unhealthy drinks, loaded with sugar.
Loaded with sugar.
Yep. And
especially apple juice. Especially apple juice.
I was going to comment on juice. At my old age, I just realized how much I like to drink orange juice. I'll drink it every morning. I used to drink it before I go work out. Me and my wife, we usually go work out in the morning about 10 o'clock. So along about 9:30 or so, I'd have a glass of orange juice with a banana and peanut butter on toast or something like that. A little early snack before I get to the gym. Well, what I found out was once I got to the gym, man, I was feeling good. I was up, right? After about 30 minutes or so of working out, I crashed. And I couldn't figure it out for a while. And I'm gonna tell you, I just recently figured this out. I decided, I know sugar for me, I'm not diabetic or anything, but sugar for me, it does that to me. It'll give me a high, and I don't know what it does to other folks, but it'll give me a high, and then it just drops me like a hot potato. So I decided to look at that carton of orange juice I use. And man, there was so much, I didn't realize how much sugar was in that so-called natural orange juice. It's supposed to be natural. But anyway, you were saying about I think you said apple juice.
Apple juice, orange juice, any of those processed juices, they're full of sugar.
Uh-huh.
They're full of sugar.
Right.
So we do have to limit them with that right there, because guess what? They start pinging off the doggone walls like a ping pong ball in a machine.
And we don't know why. Now that's that's another good point I didn't think about. Why. Yeah, see, I didn't even think about that. But you're right. You're absolutely right.
And you get upset with the child, and they don't even know why they're being this way. They just know they got all this energy, and they're ready to run their head through a wall.
Right.
All because of some high fructose corn syrup sugar type stuff, granulated sugar.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you want to make sure in the baby bottle, in the sippy cup, whatever liquid you putting in there, you want to make sure that is healthy. The most healthiest is probably going to be water, water or milk, right? You definitely want to stay away from these carbonated drinks and sugary sodas and stuff like that. There's so many things you need to watch out for those types of drinks. You're talking about the effects that it's going to have on their teeth, especially their permanent teeth, and that type of thing. And then we're talking about forming habits too.
Correct. That's the bigger picture.
Yes,
it's the habits.
Yes, they're getting used to these sugary soda drinks and that type of thing. Yeah. So be careful with the types of drinks that you put in. I hate to tell you this, brother. Now I don't know if you've ever heard of this. Maybe I've been out on the internet too much. I don't know. But I've actually heard that some folk will put some type of alcoholic beverage in some of these babies' bottles and sippy cups just to soothe them.
I'm from Mississippi. I don't know if the statute of limitations up on what I'm about to say in a minute, but go ahead.
Yeah. So I don't know what we thinking when we do that, but I've heard of some folk doing that, to kind of get them to calm down. After they've given them that high, right? They've given them that soda and that orange juice or apple juice. And so now we got to calm them down because they need to take their nappy nap. And so we just put just a little teeny tiny bit in there because they small. They don't need a whole lot of alcohol, just enough to slow them down a little bit. Now I've heard of that. I don't know. You heard of that? I know you said you heard of. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, like give an example. Like when you're teething, when a baby's teething,
right,
a child's teething,
right.
They would take a little alcohol and put on the gums. That was a normal
practice.
A normal process.
Mm-hmm.
It was They're not giving them a beer or anything.
Right.
Now in my case though. Again, I hope I'm not.
Well, yeah, it's probably. Hopefully it's. Well, let's say somebody Let's not do in the first person. Let's say somebody that you heard of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody I heard of.
Yeah.
Their grandfather used to drink Budweiser, and so he would get him a 6-pack of Budweiser, and then he would go get him a beer, sit on the front porch and drink it. And then the grandson that was about 3 or 4 would go get him a Budweiser. Now the mother would sit there and complain, like you can't have a drink of Budweiser. And the grandfather would say, he only gonna have about 2 sips, he gonna be passed out. not that 3-year-old was me, but
we're laughing and joking about this right now, but this is real life. This stuff happens. I remember now we're talking about something a little bit slightly different, but I remember when I was a kid myself. I think I was about 14, 12, 13, 14. I remember this young girl in the neighborhood. She got pregnant. She had a little baby when she was like 15, and she had a little baby boy. And they lived we used to call it the alley, because it was just one big long street. And at one end of the street, there was a church. I mean, it was just the craziest thing, man. At one end of the street, there was a church. And at the other end, there was a police station. Now, from the folks that know me and knew me as a child, they will know this story to be true. They will remember the alley, okay? And in the alley, some of the folk, they would drink, right? And they would drink beer and other stuff. Mm-hmm. Well, back in the day, it was very common for them to take their beer can, and they would just chuck their beer can, just throw it on the ground. Right. Well, this little boy, I don't know how old that little boy was, but he was old enough to walk, right? But he wasn't much older than that. I mean, he probably just started walking. But he would pick up those beer cans, and people always left them. There'd always be a little corner left in there, just a little corner. Mm-hmm. He would, and I swear, Jackie, I'm not lying to you, brother. I swear to you, there were times where this little boy would get enough to where he would be drunk. He would stagger. He would be. I mean, we used to do stuff like that, not realizing what we were doing, And but today there are parents that are doing stuff that are similar to that. Allowing their children to take, they don't necessarily have to be small infants or whatever, but allowing their small children, to drink alcoholic beverages. Like I said, we kind of slightly deviated from what the topic was, but this is, I think this will be a good time to mention.
It's still parenting. It's still parenting.
It's still parenting.
A form of parenting. Whether we don't have to agree with it for it not to be parenting.
Right.
It's still a form of parenting.
Right. And we talked about leading by example, but go ahead, brother.
I remember two particular situations. One of my buddies when I was military, active duty, was getting, we used to drink some Big Mouth Mickeys back in the day. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. So his son was drinking some Big Mouth Mickeys, and he literally got drunk one day at a barbecue. Mm-hmm. We all had a problem with it. Don't get me wrong, we didn't know that was going on, but a lot of other parents had a problem with it.
Right. That
was one thing. Oh my gosh, it was another scenario that I was going to use.
Yeah.
In college, in college, and this is out around you out there. When I was going to school, one of my professors was an Italian, and he told us one day in class. He said, "My children have been drinking wine since they were about 9 years old at the dinner table with us." Mm-hmm. So we have this perception of what is right. However, based off of cultural norms,
yes,
that's not always the case.
Right.
So technically, you really got to ask yourself, because it challenges you, who's right and who's wrong.
Right.
And you can say that determination comes down to it's based off of outcome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and I've heard of that. I've heard of that too, where parents they don't seem to have too much of a problem allowing their children to drink wine, like you said, at the dinner table. They don't see much of a problem with them drinking wine. Now, I don't know. I used to be a substance abuse counselor for about 8 years. And so maybe that was a lesson that
I know
I
you.
missed.
I know you. I know you're gonna see that difference. I know that.
Yeah. Maybe that was a lesson that I missed, but I thought that wine was a type of alcoholic beverage. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's a soda or something, or some just a sugary drink. But I thought, maybe I'm wrong. I can stand to be corrected, but I still thought that wine was an alcoholic beverage, and I also thought that people could. What's this stuff called? I've heard it was called Boone's Farm. What was Boone's Farm? Was that a wine or?
You know what?
Was that?
I don't think that was a wine.
Yeah. What about Ripple? What about Ripple?
No, Ripple is in the same category as Bowl, as Brass Monkey, as Mad Dog. It was all in that same category. I think it was It was in the case. That's a liquor, but I think it was more so liqueur.
I got you.
Except for Boone. Boone's was like I don't know, an alcoholic wine-ish drink. I don't know what to call it. And I used to drink Boone's for him. I did it early on.
Yeah.
And when I just was coming, and hold on, watch this for the audience. I did it underage. I was 18 in the dorms.
No way.
19 in the dorm.
No way. Underage?
Hey, Pop. I was in the NCO club drinking underage, rum and coke. I'm not even going. I won't hold it. Not even playing.
But
that was me.
Yeah. But we done got a little bit away from the sippy cup. But again.
Hey, Pop. No, we didn't. Matter of fact, we right on the sippy
cup. Okay. But again, like we say with all the things that we talk about, there's always some resources out there. You can follow up, do your own research. There are professionals out there that you can seek advice from and figure out, when and how to have your child progress from a bottle to the sippy cup to a regular cup, glass, whatever it might be. Okay then. All right. So the next thing we'll briefly touch on is this thing about when to stop allowing your child to sleep in the bed with you. I had a daughter, so I didn't have a son. When a daughter is a certain age, it's not a big deal to have that daughter sleep in the bed with the mother and the father, but generally, once that daughter got to a certain age, that didn't happen. So there really wasn't too much of a question as far as, in my mind, with my daughter, as far as, well, when is it appropriate for her to stop sleeping in bed with us? But I think I find with a lot of times more, and I don't want to blame this on single women, right? Single women parents. But I think that this thing with allowing your child, whether it's a male or female, to sleep in the bed with you past time. Now, I'm not saying that a mother will allow their 8, 9, 10, 12-year-old boy sleep in the bed with them. But what I am saying is I think a child that's maybe 3 or 4, whether it's a male or female, I think that child maybe need to have their own bed. That's just my own opinion. But we'll go over into some more specifics about that. But what are your initial thoughts on that, Jackie, about allowing your child to sleep in the bed with you and for how long, that type of thing? What are your initial thoughts?
I think that's very subjective. But I do know most men that I've been around and I've had these conversations and been in conversation with, they want that little joke out their room as soon as possible.
Yeah. I wonder why.
They want them out the room.
I wonder why, but anyway.
I wonder why. They want to get back to what they did to make the first.
Yeah.
I understand. I truly understand.
Yeah.
But on a more serious note, no, I think, and this is where I think that the difference between parenting skills or parenting types is the father wants that child to go be a little bit independent on their own earlier. Right. And so that causes some level of conflict and confusion between mom and dad. Right. Because mom would allow that child to sit to be in that room, to be in the bed with her,
Right.
or with them for an extended period of time.
Right.
So that's where, but again, that's where both parents need to be if not on the same page, close to the same page.
Right.
Close to it.
Right. Well, here's my thought. Yeah. Here's my thought also, though. You know, when you have a small baby, infant, you just brought the baby home from the hospital. The baby's a couple weeks old, maybe a month old.
No,
maybe.
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's different. Yeah. That's different. I'm not saying that.
But my point is,
gonna be in the bed with you.
Well, but no, see, that was my point. I think that baby should be in the crib because that's when you have issues with rolling over on top of that baby and different things like that. So my thought is, my thought is, if you start off with the baby in the crib, why would you move from having that baby in the crib to at some point, that's 6 months old or however old the baby is, you decide to move the baby into your bed? Why would you do that? That's just my thought. If you never started, we talked earlier about what the child might be used to. If you never start that, then, you know, that's something that the child wouldn't be used to. So therefore, you shouldn't have an issue with it. You follow my logic? At what point do you decide after 3 months or 6 months, do you go, I think it'll be a good idea to have my baby start sleeping with us in the bed now? Well, I mean, I know it's like fun, maybe. I mean, you love your little small baby. I love babies. I love holding babies and that type of thing. And so I can see parents possibly wanting to do that. But why create that kind of scenario, in the first place? But that's just my thoughts on it.
Let me throw something in, Pop. And I 100% agree with you on this.
Okay.
Let me tell you, I think the way that scenario plays out in real life.
Okay.
So, of course, with my son and my daughter came home from the hospital. They're clearly in a bassinet.
Right.
Next to the bed.
Right.
So, right. And you'll say, okay, why would you put them in your bed?
Right.
It's not necessarily putting them in your bed. When they get too big for the bassinet, they're used to sleeping in your room.
Right. In a crib.
The baby is used to sleeping in your room.
And
now,
go ahead.
So now you may buy a crib and keep it in the room, or you may not initially. So that's a set of events that would you can see a parent or parents pulling that child out the bassinet and putting them in the bed with them. Then the child gets used to being in the bed with them.
I agree with you. I know that I agree with you 100% that happens. Yeah, I agree with you. But what we need to do is we need to start thinking about that for especially these new parents that's coming out. Would that be a good idea, first of all, and especially for long term? How to avoid having that issue. Now the child's been in the bed with you. They're 2-3 years old now, maybe 4. And now comes time where you need to transition that baby into its own bed, into its own room. I mean, there's so many things to consider when we're talking about this, as far as first of all, whether or not to allow your child to sleep in the bed with you in the first place. And then second of all, when to transition that child back out of that bed into its own either crib or its own bed, or whatever. So these are just another one of those topics that we're going to have varying opinions on, different thoughts on. Do your own research, talk to some of your family, friends who've had children and may have had experience with that, and then go from there. But some general guidelines is, if you have started to have that baby in the bed with you, you really need to start trying to transition that baby, that child, out of that bed somewhere between at least 2 to 4 years old. You don't want them in there after that. Matter of fact, most pediatricians recommend a separate bed, somewhere between 3 to 6. And again, you mentioned this earlier about, is the child ready?
to 6 years old.
Yes, yes. But you mentioned earlier, we got to keep in mind that, kids are different. That child, we got to make sure that they're emotionally ready for that, and they're going to be comfortable with that. And that's why if you started in the first place, that's why we create some issues. But if you never start that in the first place, then you probably won't have that issue.
Correct. But like if they tell you if you play golf, they tell you if you never swung a golf club, before you do, go take some golf lessons because you're gonna do it wrong and then you're gonna unlearn it and relearn and learn it the correct way.
There you go.
Good point. In this situation right here, no, you don't get that second chance to do it right the first time.
Yeah, you're right. Good point.
Yeah, I agree that children need their own. They need their own bed. Now, if there's a nightmare or something like that,
right.
They run to the room.
Right.
Yeah, that's different.
Right.
Not saying send her back to his room or send her back to the room and she's crying eyeballs.
I agree.
None of that. None of that. Audience.
I agree with you. On that one. Each situation is going to be different. Go ahead.
Like I would do with my daughter. If she had a nightmare or something like that, instead of putting in the bed with me, I would go get in her bed with her.
There you go.
To show her that it's okay.
Right.
But it always was centered around her being in her bed.
Right. Oh, good point. We're giving you all things to think about and consider. Okay, let's cover this last area here, Brother Jackie, and that's on co-parenting. Exactly. And this co-parenting may come about, because of a separation, divorce, or maybe there was just the child was out of wedlock, but the parents, both people want to be active in the child's life, and so they want to co-parent. But go ahead. Sound like you got some initial thoughts on that, brother.
Okay. Let's get into it.
Okay. Okay. All right. And so, okay. So again, what we said was,
I don't want to bias the audience.
Okay. Okay.
With my BS.
I got you. Yeah. So, again, so co-parenting results usually because of a separation or divorce. But the key is, one of the keys is anyway, both parents really need to work together as a team and to try to raise the child. And basically we need to focus on the child's well-being more so than ours. I mean, I've heard this said before and I've seen it. Sometimes when people have a child, whether it's in marriage or out of marriage, but the relationship itself is severed, but both parents still want to be in the child's life. I've seen situations where one or both of the parents of that child, they hate each other more than they love the child. And you can see that by their actions as far as how they co-parent. And that's a shame. And I've seen that more times than I should have seen it. But remember what I just said. And that's for you parents out there that may be in a co-parenting situation. Please don't hate that other parent don't hate that other parent more than you love your child. This should be a situation of where both of you are looking out for the best interest of that child, not how you're going to get back revenge on that other parent. And I've seen that a lot. Really, you really need to try and communicate with that other person, be cooperative, and you really need to put aside some of these adult relationship issues. So some key aspects of co-parenting. There's going to be shared responsibility. Both parents should remain actively involved in decisions about education, healthcare, and daily life. Again, you want to try to cooperate with that other parent. There's going to be some give and take. It shouldn't be a situation where one parent expects everything to go their way, right? It should be child focused. The primary goal is for the child's stability, happiness, and healthy development. Again, not the parent's relationship. Evidently, your relationship has failed. So let's just write that one up as a relationship failure. But you still have this child that's in common. You really want to work together, build trust, and maintain respectful communication with each other. I can't tell you how many times I've seen situations, again, where, and usually a lot of times it's where the mother may have custody, physical custody of the child. And we get into a lot, and I'm not going to blame everything on the woman because this is a two-sided issue. But where, I'm going to control when you see the child and how often and how long and that type of thing. Or where the father, he may be providing some monetary support, and he decides because he doesn't like what's going on, he's going to withhold some of the financial aspects of the situation. And so we get these games. And then when the child see you together, because you're changing visitation, you got to meet to change visitation, and the child see how you guys respond to each other. Either you don't speak or you speak very disrespectfully to each other. The child sees all of this, and they're taking all of this in. And you need to keep in mind, too, again, we're leading by example. So what is that child learning as far as relationships and that type of thing? So we want to remain, respectful at all time, as much as we can with that other person. You really want to communicate effectively. Again, focus on the child's needs, not past conflict or anything like that. Treat your co-parent as a business partner in parenting. Don't treat them like an ex-spouse. Just realize that you've got this partnership of parenting with this other person. Set boundaries, agree on communication methods, whether that's through emails, apps, or whatever. And again, like I said, avoid conflicts in front of the children. I try to avoid conflicts even when the children ain't around, because if you have a conflict with the child when the child's not around, when the child is around, that conflict it's still going to show itself. So I'd encourage you to make your mind up that your relationship with this co-parent is that of a co-parent. It's not an enemy or anything like that. You're trying to do what's best for that child. Also, you don't want to get into this thing where, and these kids, they not dumb. They'll play you against each other. And when you're in a situation,
absolutely.
And when you're in a co-parenting situation, it's even worse. it's even worse. So, you want to support, especially if the other parent is doing what's right. You want to support that other parent, especially in front of that child. Now, if you've got some issues with what's going on, discuss it with that parent without that child around. Okay. Make sure that you establish consistent schedules and rules, that type of thing. Now, I've seen in some situations where we have these rules with divorce and as far as parental things, visitation and that type of thing, where you're supposed to have the child Monday through Thursday, and then I get to whatever. Well, now, sometimes special occasions may fall on a day when that other parent should have the child. Be willing to be flexible. I mean, like if you have some parents, maybe your parents are coming into town from someplace, and that other parent is supposed to have that child. That other parent, you guys should be flexible enough to say, okay, your other grandparents are visiting from out of town. You can go stay with them. We need to learn how to do that. But I've seen some relationships to where, nope, it's my turn. That too bad that Christmas or birthday fell on this day, or your parents you haven't seen, or the child has never seen. That's just too bad. It's my turn. We don't want to get into that. And again, I keep going back to make decisions that's best for the child, even when it's a difficult decision. Anything you want to add, Brother Jackie?
This is my thing. I agree wholeheartedly with everything that you're saying. But well, not but.
I'm glad you stopped that because I was ready to say something. But go ahead.
Yeah. But when I say but, it discredits everything I said.
Yeah. Exactly. Thank you, brother.
Going back to what you said earlier, you have to love your child and want what's best for your child over hurting the other person.
Yes.
Or still being mad with the other person.
Yes.
Because I'm that everybody knows and no secret, I'm divorced. And when it comes to I've actually experienced some of this, and that is, you get a divorce, and the mother still wants you to have the same impact and be present and accounted for as if you was in that house with that child. No way that's going to happen.
Right.
Your voice, you at best case scenario, you're checking the mail, and your voice on the other end of the phone for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So your impact is not going to be as strong. So then you have to understand, you have to, as a guy on the outside out, or the non-custodial parent, okay, what's most important? What's more important? A lot of times you become that fun dad. You can be involved with the PTA meetings and all that sort of thing right there, but a lot of times you don't have, your voice is not that strong. Mm-hmm. Your voice is not that strong. And it has nothing to do with being mad with that mother. It's just your voice is not that strong. She understands that she controls the situation, or the other father controls the situation. That's the custodial parent. That outside other parent doesn't. They don't have their voice doesn't carry much weight. So that's some of the issues that you face when dealing with in those situations. But it doesn't matter. I'm saying all that to say this. It still should be focused on the child. It should be child centered. Not I hate my ex-spouse or my baby mama or my baby daddy. Focus. It should be focused. It should be child centered. Your child centered. What's in the best interest for our child?
And I would agree with
Hopefully
you.
Hopefully that works.
Yeah, and I agree with you 100% with what you were saying. And I think this is your butt part. And I agree with you that there are many parental situations, co-parenting situations where that does happen, where that one parent who may have physical custodial responsibility for that child, they may act like they're the only parent, and that other parent is just whatever, just a financial thing or whatever it might be. We need to get away from that. We need to understand that we need to look out for what's the best interest for that child. And even though you may not be able to have a marital relationship with that other person, you need to understand that you still have that child in common, and you want to do what's best for that child long term, short term and long term. That's what we have to try to keep in mind. I'm not doing this because of love or hate for that other person. I'm doing this for the love that I have for my child. And that's what we need to keep trying to do anyway. That's what we need to keep trying to focus on, is that this relationship that I have with my ex, or this relationship that I have with my child's other parent, it's all about the child. And I need to try to keep that in mind. Okay, Brother Jackie, I think that this kind of brings our session on parenting to a close. Even though I know you and I both agree that there's a lot, I'm sure that we missed on some of these topics that we talked about. There's no doubt about it. But hopefully, it's giving folks an opportunity to at least think on some of these topics that we've talked about, and on their own dig a little bit deeper, to make sure that they can be the best parent for their child that they can be. Okay, any last words, brother, before we sign off?
Yeah, right now, I think this subject and the way we've covered it, by no stretch is this the Webster's definition of what parenting is. It is really a Cliff Notes version. It skims the surface, trying to hit on the key points, but this topic can go 7 levels deep. Right. There's no way we're going to be able to cover everything on this. It's just to begin to provide some information and to hopefully get you guys that's listening to this podcast give them the ability to think in a different way,
right?
The right to think in a different way about your situation when it comes to your children. Hell, when it comes to not just your children, your nieces and nephews, your grandchildren, everyone, even the children that you meet out in and about your daily life, that you may not be the parents on, but you can maybe be able to impart some information to help that child or to help the parents with that child.
Right.
So it's just informational to help you to begin to open that door and open that line open that lane for communication and growth.
Right. And Brother Jackie, you just keyed on something that I hadn't thought about, and it's this. Many of you, maybe most of you, may not be able to benefit from a lot of the topics that we've covered. You personally may not be able to benefit, but you personally may know of some folks who may be able to benefit from some of the topics that we're covering. Like, for example, this latest topic, which is on parenting. It would really, really be helpful to those other folks that you see out there, like Jackie said, other family members, maybe some friends who may have expressed some concerns to you about a particular issue that maybe we've covered. It would be good to maybe share, it would be good to share these videos, or not videos, but these recordings, these podcasts with some of those folks, even though, like I said, it may not directly affect you or maybe not directly be able to help you. But please be thinking about that, as you're listening to these podcasts. Okay, and with that, what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and drop the mic. What I will encourage you to do, please, as usual, if you have any feedback for us, and we encourage you, strongly beg you, please provide us with some feedback, and you can do that through our email, which is dnahardwiredpodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's dnahardwiredpodcast@gmail.com. Or you can leave us a message on Facebook, simply DNA Hardwired, a podcast on common sense. Again, that's Facebook, DNA Hardwired, a podcast on common sense. So with that, Jackie and we're dropping the mic and we're out of here. Later, Brother Jackie.
Later now. Hey, guys, thanks for listening to this.
Think it through, people.